Welcome to everyone to week 8 office hours. Lance, we're getting there. We're done today.
Well, today's it. Congratulations, everybody, for working your way through the course. And I hope you've gotten a lot of good information. Certainly, I hope you've enjoyed the office hour sessions and the answers to the questions that you have.
I see that we've had a really good completion rate, close to 65% have already finished it. So for those out there, we host these videos for a couple years, so there's plenty of time to go back and watch all those and reference them. And if you have any questions, just send them to me, and we still answer questions from last year's courses, right, Lance? So
that's exactly right. It's kind of fun because we do these sessions and we have bankers 2 or 3 months down the road after they've completed it that have a real life situation that comes up with an SBA loan and want a little direction, and we're certainly happy to provide that.
all right, I see there's a couple people on still coming in, but let's go ahead with the polls. What format do you use for setting up your SBA loan file?
And I think the purpose of this question, just to get an idea, in doing file reviews, Joseph, I have seen all sorts of formats. Of course, I made a recommendation this week in one of the sessions of what I think is a good format. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just important that you have all the necessary information to protect the guarantee on your SBA loan.
Yeah, and it seems like everyone is saying that they use the same format as their commercial loans. Would you agree with that?
I think that that's pretty common across the board, but I did recommend the 10-tab format. Part of the reason for that is it's a great way to keep your bank ready in case the loan defaults. You're going to have the information organized in a way that you can easily put your purchase demand kit together.
Right. How often do you review your SBA loan files?
Well, loan file review is very important with your SBA loans, and there are a couple of times that I highly recommend a loan file review. I certainly hope we don't have anybody say never,
Yeah.
but my recommendation is after the final disbursement, and if the loan ever defaults, those are the absolute need to times for file review. As you can see, majority of our people do review the file after it's dispersed, and I think that's important to make sure there are no exceptions, and if you do identify exceptions, that's a great time to fix them.
How many early default loans has your bank had in the last year?
And I'm hopeful, Joseph, that they say none, but early default loans are certainly a challenge. We had a session this week where we talked about how to handle those in the areas that the SBA looks at. An early default loan is not necessarily a bad thing if you document your file well.
Yeah, and we have an honest crowd out there.
A great group, a great group.
Let's see, number 4. Is someone assigned to the task of reviewing the tax transcripts, or does the loan officer do it?
Very important. I think so many participant banks send the 4506T off, they get the transcripts back, and they just stick them in the file. And that's fine as long as the loan never defaults and you don't have to submit it for guaranteed purchase. But it's very important to take those transcripts, compare them to the tax returns that you received during the loan origination process, and look and see if there are any variances. And Joseph, I just go through and check, and I'll sign it and date it and just say there are no variances. But it's important for you to take care of that.
Yeah, and a specific person is assigned to each of those.
Good.
And the last one is, do you know your bank's Paris score?
I ask this question because it's the pair score has become so important in the SBA process. They look at it when you submit to become an express lender. They look at it when you submit to become a PLP lender. It's used in your SBA review. So having an awareness of the score and what impacts the score is an important part of the SBA lending process.
And explain, do they need to know it? Where can they get it? Or
well, I think it's important for somebody in the bank, and since everybody's saying they don't know the pair score, you ought to ask the people involved in the SBA lending process if they're aware of their pair score. If not, when you get on SBA One, for all of those banks that are signed up with SBA One, you can access the pair score on SBA One and see the different components in there. And I'll tell you why it's important, Joseph. My bank's pair score was impacted by a loan that they said was an early problem loan. One of the categories of review is early problem loan. And just to let the folks know, this loan is a loan that was originated. It was on the books for 24 months. There was never a payment that was 1 day past due, and the loan paid off after 24 months, and it was showing as an early problem loan, which I immediately elevated that concern to SBA headquarters and said, hey guys, this is not an early problem loan. They never missed a payment,
right,
and they paid the loan off early. So understanding because the pair score has become so important in how SBA evaluates you as a participant lending institution, you need to know what it is, you need to know what the components are, and in the SBA One, when you click on pair score, it'll show each of the areas of evaluation. It'll give you a score, and on several of those you can click on it and it will show the actual SBA loans that are negatively impacting your pair score. So it's good to be aware of it, and it's good to review it, and you may get in there and not find any problems, or you may do like I did and find one that shouldn't be impacting your pair score, and you may need to elevate that to SBA for correction.
That's some great advice, Lance. Thanks. Let's go to the last week's recap.
Well, we spent some time talking about, excuse me guys, I have allergies, loan file setup. We talked about loan file review, a good format to use for that. We talked about the SBA lender review, and we talked about the early default loan and how you handle that as an SBA participant lender. It's important to understand each of these areas, and again, I made some recommendations and shared with you some formats that ought to make it easier for you.
Just a reminder, these videos will be will stay online for a while, so you can always go back and reference them at any time. Let's go to, I think we have 2 questions this week. The first one's on E-Train. May we use E-Train to make status change on the loan from dispersed and liquidation to change it back to regular servicing? If so, where do we go do that?
Well, it's a great question because the unilateral authority matrix indicates that you can use E-Tran and move a loan from in liquidation back to regular servicing. But the reality of that is on Express Loans, Community Advantage loans, you can actually do that using E-Tran. It's a unilateral action. But on SBA 7A loans that are transferred to Herndon, I have found that you can't. You can actually go in E-Tran and move it back into regular servicing, and if you'll go back the next day, it gets moved back into liquidation. On SBA 7A loans that go into liquidation, they're transferred to Herndon, the National Guarantee Purchase Center, as a servicing office. And if they're in liquidation, you want to move them back to regular servicing, you're going to have to send a request to Herndon requesting that the loan be moved back into regular servicing.
And the second one is on the loan file setup. You recommended to use the PDK format for file setup. Under Section 3 of the format, it is stated to put the UCC filings and searches, but it also stated to put the UCC filing and searches in Section 8. Can you please clarify this?
Yeah, Section 3 is pre-search, and Section 8 is going to include the actual filings and renewals and searches that are done post-closing. So Section 3 will be the UCC search that was done during the origination process. Section 8 is going to include the actual UCC filings, any renewals that take place during the life of the loan, and any post-closing UCC searches that are done.
And I see that Diane is on line, and you've completed the course, so you guys are going to receive this. And I think the other two are 98, 97%, so they're almost finished. They're probably just finishing the final. You guys have unlimited time to take that, and we hope it's useful. We're not trying to stump you, but we will get those certificates out to everyone on the line who completes the final. And we enjoyed the course. Lance, as always, it's been fun. And
thank you.
We'll see.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone that's finished. And we'll see you for the next course. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.